G'day gold diggers. This morning I just wanted to have a quick chat about inflation. Now, I've been saying this in my personal life for quite a long time from what I've learnt. So I just want to share it with all you guys. There's a lot of talk about the Fed tapering in the United States, which means that they're going to stop quantitative easing, which they've been doing since 2008. But quantitative easing is a monetary roach motel. Once you start, you can't stop without receiving the recession and depression that you deserve. So they're talking about tapering, but really they're talking about slowing down the purchase of government bonds. And the purchase of government bonds is what's keeping the mortgage rates low and the no interest in the bank, money in the bank, that sort of thing. So if you want low interest rates artificially manipulated by a central bank, then you have to continue to purchase government bonds and stimulate, so-called, the economy. They call it stimulus, but it's really a deadener. But so what you're getting now, and I should have probably said this a year ago, but what was coming, I did say a bit about inflation a little while ago, but what you have now is, the choice is interest rates go up and your mortgage payments go up, or the price of everything else goes up. History says that they're going to choose the latter, and they have chosen the latter, and you can see it now. You can see it. Fuel is nearly double what it was in 2015. Food is probably the same, and it's just getting started, because they can't do anything else, or they won't do anything else but continue to print money. They call it is the central banks buying government bonds. So this allows governments to overspend, and it stops the natural interest rate going up, because there is a lack of savings in the economy. That none of the politicians talk about it. None of the politicians even talk about the national debt any longer. But low interest rates should only come about when there is a lot of savings in the economy. When there's not enough savings, interest rates should go up. Well, the savings are just about zero, and the debt's just, thousands of percent. So the only way to keep this skewed, manipulated bubble going is to keep, they've booked into the monetary roach motel. They can't get out of it. They're painted into a corner. So you've got your choices, and the choice they always choose is print more money. Every country, every government forever has done that. Whoop, sounds like my customers here. So you're going to get inflation. So all your other payments goes through the roof while you keep your mortgage rate low. So what's the solution to this problem? I talk about now it has to run its course. This thing has to run its course, and eventually, when they reverse course and say, oh God, the economy's a mess, we're going to have to print more money. We're going to have to do more bond purchases, more quantitative easing to stimulate growth and all this rubbish. We get to a point where no one will take the currency. You'll walk into your local shop, the one that hasn't been already closed down by some government department, and they'll say, well, we don't want your dollars, or we don't want your pesos, we don't want this currency anymore. You're going to have to give me something different. Now, so what's the alternative? What's the cure? What will fix this problem? Well, this problem will fix itself, because the central banks will print, and the governments will print so much money. I've said this before, about a year ago, maybe more. I'll pull up the other video. Everyone will lose faith in the currency, and you'll have to move to a different medium of exchange. That'll be nothing to do with any central bank or government. So the thing will play out and run its course, and we've just got to let it do it. How can you protect yourself? Well, if you own your property outright, you're okay. That's great. If you've got a big fat mortgage and your job looks a bit shaky, I might consider selling it and feeding this market. I know this rentals are hard to come by and that sort of thing. But so an example of how we once this thing runs its course, once this inflation runs its course, a good example of how we can operate in a different way is the 1800s, is to look at the 1800s, because there was no central bank in the 1800s. You don't need a central bank, and you shouldn't have a central bank, because it's the same as the Politburo in Moscow telling the Lada Niva producers how many cars to make every year. It just doesn't work. You need the customer to vote with their dollars or their currency to make the economy work properly. So having a central bank means that you've communized the currency supply, and communism worked out really good for the oligarchs at the top and very bad for everyone else. So the 1800s are a good example of operating with no central bank and sound money, having every unit of currency that you trade with, that you use to buy to food and houses and cars and who knows what, being backed up by a precious metal. Once upon a time, we were on a trimetallic standard. We had gold for big purchases, silver for everyday stuff, and copper for everyday stuff for small stuff. So a 1 cent used to buy a bag of lollies. That's a copper standard. We were on a copper standard. So money is a commodity, not a currency printed by central bank. So the only cure for this inflation, now the 1800s are a good example, is the only cure for this inflation is to go back to sound money, is to have every unit of currency redeemable in real money, in precious metal. So that will stabilize the system. Interest rates will sit at 5% or wherever they need to be. Plenty of savings in the economy, plenty of investment. Governments talk about we need to spend to stimulate. We need to spend to stimulate. Well, that's not how an economy works. They're all Keynesians. They're pseudo-Keynesians. And Keynesian economists, the guy's name was John Maynard Keynes. And he came up with the idea that a government should print money and spend it into the economy into a recession and then pay it back once things come right again. Well, on his deathbed, he admitted that was a flawed idea. But of course, the governments and the central banks loved it. That's a great idea, mate. And what did they do? What have they done throughout history is print the money, cause the recession, and then print more money. Borrow more, print more, spend more, blah, blah, blah. So it's savings, it's real savings that drives investment, not spending, not deficit spending, going into debt to build a road to nowhere. It's not how you drive an economy. You don't drive an economy, it drives itself. And it's driven, as soon as you have savings, then you can have investment, and then you have factories, and then you have stuff. Because it's not all that currency in your bank account. You might have $10 million in there. That doesn't make you rich. It's the stuff you can get with it. So if there's nothing on the shelf in the supermarket and no fuel at the petrol pump, and you've got $10 million in your bank account and you can't spend it, it's nothing. It's not worth anything. So it's not money that makes us wealthy or comfortable. It's the knowing that we can purchase goods or services with that currency or that money, whichever you're going to use. So central banks and governments deciding that we're going to, as we keep interest rates low, we're going to cause inflation. And it's here now. It's been coming for years. It's been coming since 2008. But since before then, it's been actually coming since 1914, when the Federal Reserve was formed. And before the Federal Reserve was formed, we had the whole 1800s, no central bank at all. And we had the most incredible prosperity and the most incredible growth, and we had slight deflation. We had 100 years of prices going down as more and more goods and services were produced, and the money supply was real money, and it was stable. And so the real money supply in this world right now is gold, silver, and copper. You just don't realize it. You just don't know that at the moment, but hopefully this video will help. So the real money supply is gold, silver and copper, and the fake currency supply is the crap the government issues. And the hyperinflation is going to show you just how corrupt that currency supply is. Notice I call it currency, not money. If it was back, if every $100 in your wallet, you could walk into a bank and redeem it for an ounce of silver, then it would be the currency that's backed up, that backs a real money. But at the moment, it's a fiat currency, which means fiat means from nothing. If there is nothing there to back it. So while we're using this fiat currency, they can keep interest rates low, they can keep your mortgage rates down, but look out for the price of everything else. So they make you poor either way. And if you own your property, that's great. If you have some spare cash, buy some gold, silver, copper, whatever you want to buy, something real, a commodity. I think people that don't understand the financial system understand that their dollar is losing its value, and they may as well run out to the shops and buy the things they need today before they go up tomorrow, which helps continue with the inflation. Now, that one more thing, the pundits will tell you that it's a supply chain interruption, and yes, we've had that, and we're that's ongoing, and no one thought that through. I was speaking about it in March of 2020. That if you close the economy down, you're going to cause such devastation that it'll starve more people than some virus that was going around. So we're here now. We're seeing the inflation. We have the supply shortages, and they will continue to get worse, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen. And you will see prices continue to rise because of the ever increasing. Well, when they changed their mind and realised that, oh dear, we can't do it, like they did in 2018. In late 2018, they'd risen interest rates to 2.5% around about, and the stock market crashed by 20%, and they reversed course. Oh dear, we can't actually normalise the balance sheet. We can't pay down the excess reserves that we've created. We can't pay down the debt. We're going to have to issue more now. And keep doing what doesn't work, the definition of insanity. So just have to let it play out. But yeah, own some real commodities, own some real estate. Yes, that's why real estate is going off. It's cash buyers out there, a lot more than it is the stimulus buyers. Well, they bought the block of land and they signed up the builder because they got given a time frame to do it in, to stimulate the economy, so-called. But real growth comes from savings and investment. So, we won't get our factories back that we lost in the 70s and 60s and 80s. We won't get any of their production back into the economy until we go back to sound money, until we get rid of this horrible inflation system. The people that get it first are the ones that control it all, and it's not your average mum and dad, for sure. And I think a lot of people are waking up to that. So, but yeah, the cure for the inflation and the problem is to let it run out now, let it devastate the economy, and until no one accepts the government currency, and go back to sound money. That's all. Where every note in your wallet or every digit on your screen of your phone is a representation of a weight of a precious metal, and that's how we did so well in the 1800s with slight deflation. Everyone was slightly better off. Wages rose a little bit over the 100 years from 1800 to 1900. Some prices went down by up to 50% because of the production, the Industrial Revolution. It all happened on sound money. No one did any stimulus whatsoever, because stimulus, like most things, government policies, they have the opposite effect of what they say. So the stimulus packages are deadening the economy, are killing the economy, and they always have. And so, yeah, every time you stimulate, you destroy real capital. So just let it play out, ride it out, see what comes next. No one really knows exactly how it's going to play out. But if you can protect yourself a little bit and hopefully get ready for a system where real savings drives investment, and people can build factories and produce again without any interference, and prices of things will get cheaper. All right, I better go. Thanks for listening.